Rivers State, where the Court of Appeal in Abuja has reserved judgment in the appeal filed by Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Amawule, and 24 others against Speaker Victor Oko-Jumbo and 2 others. The appellate court adjourned for judgment after the parties in the suit adopted all their processes. Mr. Amawule and others in the appeal are asking the court to stay the execution of a high court judgment which saw them out of office and further proceedings in the suit, and whatever decisions Mr. Jumbo has taken while in office should be set aside. Governor Fubara earlier inaugurated 23-man Caretaker Committee for the local government council, despite agitation from Amawule-led lawmakers who are insisting they have a 6-month tenure allocation. And the Court of Appeal that both parties should cease hostility. Recall that the federal government recently dragged 36 state governors to the Supreme Court on local government autonomy, an attempt by governors to interfere in financial activities of the councils. The federal government also is praying the Supreme Court for an order stopping governors from further constituting caretaker committees to run the affairs of local governments, as against the constitutionally recognized and guaranteed democratic system. Let's talk about the autonomy of local governments for a bit. I'm joined by a former local government chairman in Karu local government area of Nasarawa State, Aala Samuel. Honorable Samuel, thank you so much for joining us on the program this evening.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to join.
So you've been an advocate of dispassionately talking about the situation in Rivers and its potential impact on the polity. But I'm sure you also agree that it's a difficult task considering the very sharp political division fueling this development.
Well, this is what we've been talking about. What is happening in Rivers is a clear abuse of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, be it from a part of the governor or no, the part of the local government chairman, because the local government chairman were sworn in for a period of time. And of course, the governor himself is aware that this term will end at a stipulated date. And that is why we have continued to say there is no state independent electoral body in any state in Nigeria. Because if they are independent, they do not need the approval of the governor to conduct elections when the terms of elected officials or councils expire. Because the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 7, subsection 1, clearly stipulates that a system of democratically elected officials of the local government is guaranteed under this Constitution. Therefore, it means that it is not negotiable that there must be elected officials, no matter how bad is the election. Therefore, what is happening in Rivers State is shameful. What is happening in Rivers State is clear daylight abuse of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
But Mr. Samuel, what is happening in Rivers is no different from what is happening in 17 other states currently in Nigeria. In fact, it's been the norm that state governors ask commissioners to go. Some of them have even asked commissioners to go while their tenure was still on. You have been a commissioner yourself. What do you think is running the minds of these governors? For instance, why do you think he did not conduct the election in the past year?
Well, for me, I am more worried that Rivers State can throw herself into this ring, that the governor can decide at this point, when the whole nation is talking about the freedom for local government, and there is a pending matter, judgment has been reserved by the Supreme Court of Nigeria on the autonomy of local government, and then the governor clearly can throw himself into this kind of ring. Talking about commissioners, commissioners are appointed at the pleasure of the governor. He can decide to wake up one morning and say, I don't need your service. So you cannot liken the appointment of a commissioner to the election of executive chairman of third tier of government. What is the difference between what is happening in Rivers today and what is happening in 17 other states is the fact that there is a pending matter, and the conversation is so high now that the local government needs to freedom, and that the governor, because he has immunity, decides that he will abuse the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that is why on the day he sworn in the Caretaker Committee chairman, told them they can govern and administer their local government from anywhere, meaning that he is the governor, he decides what happened to the third tier of government in that part of the country, and that is unfortunate. And to say that if he has no choice, since he refused to conduct the election, and why is it that the governor must approve before election takes place? There are personnel, heads of personnel in every local government. The worst case scenario in this matter is to allow the head of personnel to take charge of the affairs of local government while the state independent body conducts election if they're sincere. But there is no sincerity on the part of the governor, and there is no any form of respect to rule of law at all.
Is it possible that we're also over-glorifying this election? Because elections haven't significantly changed anything. A lot have been said about the unlawful practice of appointing loyalists or stooges. So in states where elections have held, you find out that the governing party sweeps all of the local government areas and they're literally appointed there. So what's the difference?
Well, the difference is that they have decided to adhere to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, the point we're trying to say is that adhere to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But of course, I have always said, any election conducted by the state independent election body is a mere selection. Let those selections continue by way of election. That is the point. And that is to say, you are respecting the sanctity and the sacred nature of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, meaning you are subjecting yourself to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And nobody is above the law. Therefore, there hasn't been any serious election that has been conducted by any governor in Nigeria, except in 2013 in Nasarawa State, when the former governor, His Excellency Umaru Tanko Al-Mukura, conducted local government elections where you find about 4 chairmen emerging from other political parties, councillors emerging from other political parties. That was a semblance of an election.
All right.
But every other thing you see in the name of election are mere selection.
Let's take a short break, Mr. Samuel, and we'll be right back with more. Stay with us, everyone.
Sometimes it's the story that calls. At other times, the people just want to be heard.
School, I need students, but I need teacher.
Can't continue like this.
Their voices re-echoing through time itself.
We haven't done anything. If the tide is high, everybody run for safety.
Their tears leave a sweet, sour taste for all their demands. A familiar call beckoning for change. In our world, no one expects a disaster to happen. But when it does, we'll be there to x-ray all sides, from the east to the west, north and south. Community Forum will examine the oddities and challenges to economic development, as well as issues yearning for government intervention. Watch fresh episodes of Community Forum on Sundays by 9:30 p.m. only on TVC News.
So staying with us, everyone. We're talking about the autonomy of local governments in Nigeria vis-a-vis the latest development in Rivers State that has now joined about 17 others, with Caretaker Committee leading the local government councils in the respective states. Thank you for staying the course on the program. Aala Samuel is former local government chairman, Karu local government area of Nasarawa State. The conversation has been on for long as to the constitutionality or otherwise of local government caretaker committee. And, we had a conversation yesterday about Section 7 of the Constitution, the fact that local government councils are set up to be managed, by democratically elected persons. But these state governors also have local government laws as passed by their state assembly that makes it quite difficult to say they are breaking any law.
Well, you see, the Constitution also clearly made it very, very clear that any offshoot of law, any law made by any arm of government that is inconsistent with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is to that extent of its inconsistency null and void and have no effect. Therefore, if a state assembly will go out of its way to make laws and make provision for caretaker committees in their various states, it's a clear abuse of the Constitution. That is contrary to Section 7, because Section 7 has made it very clear that there must be democratically elected officials. But the same Constitution has given powers to the state assembly to make laws for the finances and administration of the local government. It does not give it any power at all to make laws for caretaker committee. But because the assembly is usually sponsored by the state governors who help their parties, who also finance their various political parties, they decide who to fly the ticket of the party to win an assembly seat. So when they sponsor those guys, they get to the assembly, they play to the gallery, and only that which the governor wants, they pass into law. Unfortunately, even states that is dominated by opposition political party members also go into the fray. And I think from what I can say on that is that they always play to the gallery and get what they can get to their pocket. So therefore, those laws that were made by the assembly to provide to caretaker committees that empower the governor, and that is why you will hear that a caretaker committee member is appointed and is going to the assembly for screening. This is clear disregard, clear abuse of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And to say that this is coming from lawmakers themselves is unfortunate. Therefore, all caretaker committee laws that are made, promulgated, or enacted by various states in Nigeria are illegal. And to that extent, they are null and void because they are contrary to Section 7 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right, so this is a narrative I've heard, oftentimes. We've also seen a couple of Supreme Court judgments, that support exactly what you're talking about. We currently now have a presidency that has also gone to court, to drive home this point. But what happens thereafter? Because there are already existing Supreme Court, pronouncements on this particular situation. Do you see the National Assembly playing any significant role here?
Well, there are two ways the laws of the country can be amended. The laws of the country can be amended through the National Assembly with concurrence from 36 state houses of assembly. The Supreme Court under our laws have the legal right to amend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and it will become a force. Therefore, the point I'm trying to make here is that barring whatever the National Assembly will come up with, when the Supreme Court of Nigeria enters its judgment on autonomy, if it declares that the 774 local government will henceforth enjoy administrative and financial autonomy, it becomes a law automatically. Therefore, it does not need any input from the National Assembly or state houses of assembly. So, the National Assembly over time, you are aware, have passed the autonomy for local government. But it always failed to get concurrence from 2/3 of the 36 states of the Federation houses of assembly. That is because the assemblies are controlled entirely by the governors or the executive arms of their states. And that is why you could even clearly see that the state houses of assembly in some instances refuse to pass their own financial independence, financial autonomy. They said they don't need it, that the government is giving us of their due. And this is an arm of government that is supposed to serve as check on the executive. How do you serve as check on the executive if you do not have financial independence? So, for me, the governors are not willing and ready to let the local government have this independence so that this country can come out of all these rules.
But how do we bridge that implementation gap? Because that's the challenge now. We have laws that back up your position, but how do you think we can arrive at the point where every state government honors this same law?
We all in Nigeria, majority of Nigerians, I can assure you, are praying for Mr. President and the case that was filed by the Attorney General of the Federation. The hope we all have is on the Supreme Court at the moment. We are praying and trusting God that the Supreme Court will summon the courage and free up the local government from its current strangulation, from its current hostage. It has been held hostage by state governors. And we are hoping that the Supreme Court, that is, once the Supreme Court enters its judgment and free up the local government, we do not need anyone at all to aid its implementation. Automatically, the local government is removed and deleted from the department of the state that it has continued to be. So the hope that every Nigerian, every discerning mind and patriotic Nigerian is having today is the fact that the Supreme Court has reserved judgment and we all await that judgment.
Well, good place to leave it. Interesting development and conversation around the country about the local government of autonomy. But then we'll see if we're going to arrive there, especially with all of the developments across board. Aala Samuel is former local government chairman, Karu, LG Nasarawa State. Thank you for talking to us on the program this evening.
Always a pleasure talking with you. Thank you.
And that's our show today, everyone. You can watch it again at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu do solemnly swear